I can start in many places. Let me start by saying that intuition is very natural. It's part of who we are. It's not necessarily something that we actually learn, but it's actually something that we come back to. So over the course of our life, over the course of becoming an adult or growing in this human form in life, we forget the truth of who we are. We forget the truth, the universal truth, divine truth. And we really forget who we are. And perhaps some of you have heard this before, and sometimes it does sound very cliche to hear, but we are more than just this body, and we are more than just this human experience or this earth experience. We are soul, we are spirit, we are energy, and we are intuition. This is where intuition really comes from. It's our natural sense. We are born with it, we forget it. And so it's not something really that we have to learn. It's more about unlearning and remembering. So unlearning the barriers or the blocks, I guess you can call it blocks, the barriers to what our truth is and what we naturally know. It's our innate ability that we all have. Now, because of all the conditionings, growing up in families, cultures, societies, all of this, we've sort of created this buffer, major buffer. This, you can call it a wall, a buffer, a block. Some people call it a callus around all of this. You can call it memory. And because of that, we now need tools, practices, techniques, some sort of guidance to help us understand how to come back to it. Number one, what it is, and then how to come back to it. Same with healing. So when I talk about intuition, it is those senses that we just get. Every single one of us have them. And I have so many people come in for sessions and they'll be talking to me about situations that are happening in their life. And they'll say, but I felt this, but. So it is that feeling. And there is, of course, a difference between emotion and intuition. I'll go into that a little bit more in a bit. But it is that sense, that quick sense, that spontaneous sense of something. It's intuition comes in the subtle and spontaneously. It doesn't stay. Whereas a thought or an emotion comes in and it stays. It's like sticky. It's like glue almost. And it stays. And not only does it stay, but then it attracts more thoughts and more thoughts and more thoughts and more thoughts. And before we know it, we're in a circle, a cycle of never-ending thoughts. Whereas intuition comes in like this, like a hit. It's almost like we're getting a sort of, we call it a download or a hit or a message or a sense. And it comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. It doesn't stay. You can't even grab onto it. Even if you want to think about it, there's actually not even much to think about. It's a sense that comes in. That's why we call it a knowing. So that's one of the simplest, most vital ways we can separate, because one of the most popular questions that always come out about intuition is, well, how do I know it's not my mind or my emotions or my intuition? And it's a very valid question, of course. And the most simplest way to answer that is the speed and the spontaneity that it comes in with. Whereas thoughts are sticky, they attract more thoughts. We can think the same thought for hours. We can spin one thought in different ways for hours. Same with our emotions. We can start to feel sad, then we can start to feel angry, and we go into an emotional spiral. Intuition is clean, quick, and spontaneous. So that's the main way we can decipher. So you can start to feel that in your daily life. So I invite you to do this exercise with yourself as you move forward. Feel into what's coming through like this and what's coming in and it's sticky. You will start to understand the difference between your intuition, your mind, and your thoughts. It takes practice. If you're very used to, like most of us are very used to sticking onto our thoughts and our emotions and sort of we go into them and we ruminate over them and they get bigger. It's going to take a little bit of practice, but just start to feel into when a thought comes in. We call it a thought, but when a feeling, a sense, it can be a thought. Intuition is a form of mind. It's information that comes in. Just start to tune into that. You may catch them and you may not catch them, but even if you catch one that comes in, you're going to start to catch more and more and more and more. And before you know it, you're going to really start to get a sense for it. Now, it's always nice to get that validated. The other way which we develop intuition, or which we strengthen our intuition, or which we remember what intuition is to have validation. Is, okay, we had this intuitive thought, it came in, now can we get it validated? So can you call someone to validate it? Depending on what the intuitive information is, yeah, you may be able to call someone to validate it. Time might go by, and in time you might be able to validate it. Some people like to get readings just for validation. They get all this intuition and they just want it confirmed by somebody neutral who doesn't know them or know their life. So that's these are a couple of ways in which we can validate it. So validating those intuitive feelings or senses that come in will start to strengthen that intuitive muscle. Again, we all have it. Nobody does not have it. Just some people are more attuned to recognizing and hearing and feeling their intuition, and some are just really submerged in the mind and the emotions. So that's one way or one aspect, and the same for healing. So when we talk about healing in the sense of psychic world, intuitive world, when we talk about healing, well, it is healing. When we use our psychic senses or when we use our intuition, what we're really doing is we're moving away from the mind chatter, the mind thoughts, the mind, all the mind stuff. We're moving into a subtle place where it is not about the mind and it's not about the emotions. It's your upper chakras, we can call it. We're really sitting in the crown chakra, the connection to, and the third eye chakra, which is our ability to see, to understand, to know. So we're really sort of, our energy really starts to circulate up here, as opposed to when we're in our thoughts and our emotions, the energies are more in our lower chakras. Now, any single time we start to bring our energy or focus our energy up into these chakras, we're raising our energy, we're raising our vibration, hence it is healing. So a lot of people will come in and say, think that there's a difference between intuition or psychic work and healing. It is healing. The other thing that I always say is that, and there is, I'll talk a little bit about the classes that I teach and help them understand their emotion and develop, intuition and develop it. But the other thing is that whenever we witness energy starts to shift and change. And in that moment...
Sorry, Bianca. Sorry, hi, we can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me.
There's a lot of noise. Yeah, we couldn't hear you probably for the past couple of minutes.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Does anybody else have a problem with hearing me? Maybe it's just you, we're not sure.
I'm also unable to hear you.
Ah, okay. Odd, because the mic is
There's
on.
a lot of noise, maybe from the headphones.
There's a lot of noise. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've done this before and everything is okay. Yeah. But you can hear me now.
It's still there.
No.
The noise is still there.
And you guys know what kind of noise that you're hearing?
Yeah, it's from the headset. Can you try to remove the headset? Maybe
Yeah, I
use the speakers.
Do you hear me better like this?
Yeah, way better.
Yes, way better. Yeah, perfect.
Better? Okay, guys. So let's do it like this. I don't know what's going on with the headset. Okay, good. So if you guys just want to re-mute yourself just so there's no noise coming in. Now let me go back to what I was saying. Yes, I was talking about what was the last thing anybody heard me say? So what I was talking about was when we witness energy, energy shifts and changes, hence there's a healing. So I always say this in my classes, which I'll talk to you a little bit about after, but whenever we witness energy, and this can be in any form, it can be in hands-on healing, it can be by feeling, and even feeling your intuitive sense is you witnessing energy. Every single time you actually acknowledge that you're receiving some intuitive information, you are actually having a healing. Healing is not necessarily something that has to take you from A to Z. So a lot of people will feel like they're not being healed because the insomnia, for example, is not going away, or the anxiety is still there. Healing happens incrementally. Yes, there is spontaneous healings, but in my personal experience and working with energy and in this work, healing happens incrementally. Whenever there is a shift in perception, within your energy, within your behaviors, within your thoughts, within anything in your life, whenever there is a shift, there's healing. And it does not need to be justified. Whenever there's a shift, there's a healing. So if you are someone that is always in your thoughts, always in your emotions, and all of a sudden, for one time, maybe it's just one time, you actually are able to feel something, think something, maybe it's a little on the negative side, and you're able to shift that thought, or maybe you're able to ground yourself, or maybe you go right into meditation, and then all of a sudden it's not that bad. Maybe it's still there, but it's not that bad. That's a healing. So we need to really start to understand that it is the incremental shifts and changes that create healing. And we are healing all the time. The process of evolution, and we are constantly evolving. We're evolving beings. We're constantly evolving. This webinar, or this, you guys showing up here this evening and just listening to this, somehow there's a shift and a change. That's healing. So every single thing that you do, everything that you show up for, whether it's a class, whether it's reading a book, whether it's sitting in meditation, whatever that is, whether it's having a different kind of conversation with someone, whatever that is, you're shifting, you're changing, you're growing, you're evolving, and you're healing. So it's very important, I believe, it's very important to understand that, to recognize that, and give yourself that self-acknowledgement, recognition. The more you do that, the more that you bring in the energy of love, the energy of self-love. I get asked a lot, how do we do self-love? It's not that you're going to wake up one day and all of a sudden be madly and deeply in love with self and love self so much when you've been quite harsh with self for a really long time. It's the incremental shifts and changes that create that self-love. So you're drowning in your thoughts and your emotions, and all of a sudden you decide to do a guided meditation, which, for example, opens up your, you can call it opens up your third eye, but I like to say you do a guided meditation that helps you activate that energy of the third eye. And when you come out of the meditation, you're not so disturbed by what you were thinking about. That's an act of self-love. That is an act of self-love. And the more that we do that, the more that we start to understand and start to love ourselves. The more that we value ourselves and honor ourselves and cherish ourselves. So all of this to say is that the healing journey is not linear. It's fast, it's curvy sometimes, it's really messy sometimes, it's really spectacular sometimes, and it's a journey. It's a journey that we go on, and likely there's not so much of a destination, but the journey. And I know, once again, this sounds very cliche, but it really is a journey. Healing is a journey. It's not where you come to a point and you say, oh, I'm healed now, I'm healed. We can heal from specific traumas, experiences, wounds, aspects of our life. We can evolve. And when we evolve, yes, we do heal, but we are dynamic beings. We are alive and thumping. we are involved in life with other humans, and there are bound to be other things that come up where we're going to have to navigate. And when we have tools such as strong intuition, ability to redirect our thought systems or emotion, our ability to get ourselves quickly out of an emotional meltdown, when we're able to understand how to self-parent or self-regulate, which is really basically just taking care of ourselves and our emotions in any situation, well, those pieces that we come through in our life, those I wouldn't even call them blocks, but those points that we got to navigate through, well, now we have tools. Now we have, our energy is more, I'm not going to say balanced, but I want to say more integrated. Our energy is more whole. We are more in ourselves. So healing really is about coming back home. Coming back home to who we are, coming back home to that truth of who we are. And that happens over time. And every little bit that we do, that's why I say, even if you just sit in meditation one day, even if you just take a walk, even if every little bit calls a piece of ourselves back home. This whole journey is really the journey of coming back home, or the journey of going back home, or the journey of finding home. Every little bit calls us back. So the more that we are here, present, in our center, knowing who we are, the journey becomes, and I don't like to use the word easy, but the journey becomes easeful, pleasant, joyful, connected, free, smooth, smoother, maybe not always smooth, but smoother. And that is healing. When we're able to navigate and walk this journey called life and not in our center, that to me is ultimate healing. That it's not about removing all the blocks or the problems or the issues, but it's about moving through those places in our center. And when we are in our center, when we are in our own energy, when we're owning our own energy, we can make the best decisions for our life, and we can start attracting higher experiences, different experiences, happy experiences, balanced experiences, joyful experiences. We can start attracting more of what we desire. And so one of the modalities or one of the tools in the toolboxes is our intuition, is this whole work of psychic development. It's using our extrasensory perception to help us in this life. And why would we not? We are that. So it's like listening to the inner workings of our soul, listening to the sound or the voice of our soul. How can we do that? Well, we use a word called intuition. And why would we not want to do that on this journey? It's like setting out on a destination without a map. Our map is what I like to call our intuition, is our soul, is our truth. That's the map. So for me personally, developing my intuition, using my intuition has completely changed my life, from one to where I was suffering deeply and greatly with my mind. My mind was causing me to suffer a lot. My emotions were causing me to suffer a lot. I was constantly making stories that were not true, that were so far from the reality. But I would take one thought and my mind would spin webs and weaves and balls and mountains out of, and I was suffering. I was greatly suffering, and I was not able to be present for life. And then I started to stumble across this world of psychics and psychic. And all the word psychic means is someone who uses their extrasensory perception. And I stumbled across this whole world. And it wasn't until years into the work where I started to train in it. I used to see psychics. I used to sort of counsel with them. I used to bring them my issues, my problems. But there was always a little bit of it missing because I was relying a little bit too much on what they said, and I was forgetting my own intuition. And so when I started to train in it, when I started to take classes in it, when I started to understand what it really was and how to really develop it within myself, when I started to recognize that I have this as well, it's not just someone else sitting there having it for me, it's me too, I have this. I started to recognize that within myself. And I still went to readers or psychics or clairvoyants, and I'll talk to you a little bit about the difference, but it was more to validate. I have this intuition, I really believe this is my intuition, I really deeply felt this or sensed this, and then I would have it validated. And over that process, I learned how to develop my intuition stronger and stronger. And now, well, I just know. And the other piece that I always tell people is there's one thing to, and I say this all the time in my classes, there's one thing to develop the intuition and to know it, to hear it, to see it, and to listen to it. And then there's another thing to not just trust it, but there's another thing to put it into practice. So, and this is the beauty of being human on this journey. So our intuition will say, it's time for you to leave this country. It's time for you to go back home. A lot of us are in Dubai and we're not in our countries, but we don't really like that sound. We want to stay here a little bit longer. And so we stay here a little bit longer because we want to, or because we think we need to. But that little voice or that, it keeps on telling us, but we're going to stay a little bit longer. And at some point we actually do sort of put into practice what our intuition says. And sometimes we hear or we say to ourselves, wow, if I only listened to myself back then. And I'm sure a lot of us have that experience. If I only listened to myself, if I only. And so it's okay. The thing is, we don't want to beat ourselves up about it. We are always connected. Even when we don't feel connected, even when we feel super lost and all over the place and like we have no connection or grounding, we are connected. We have a soul and we have this living body and we have the spirit and we're moving energy. We are connected. Maybe not to the degree that we'd like to be, but it doesn't take years of work to reconnect. It just takes time and a little bit, I want to say a little bit of quiet time or pause, space. There's many, many ways to reconnect to self. And when we reconnect to self, we can listen more clearly to that intuition or to that voice. And when we do that and we are reconnected to self, we may be more compelled to put it into practice or action sooner rather than later. So it is a beautiful journey of learning, and we're always learning. And many of us, all of us, I'm sure all of us have experiences where we are having this intuition come through, but we're just not sure. We all have it. I hear it all the time. So yeah, so any questions on that before I just continue on? Is there any questions on that? I think I'm going to do a little bit of a meditation this evening to get you guys connected a little bit more. But before that, any questions that anybody has about either what I said or intuition or the psychic world, psychic development? Latifa, you have a lot of questions and more questions. Yeah, anybody have questions? You can probably, I would rather you type them in the chat so that we can just keep the flow of the webinar. So if there are no questions, then I believe we're going to go into a little meditation. So I just mentioned that I'll let you know that so psychics, like I mentioned, are people, anyone who uses extrasensory perception. So that means going beyond the basic senses, going beyond our physical sight, our physical hearing, our physical smell, our physical touch. We're going beyond, and we're going into the subtle realm of energy where we can see, we can hear, we can feel, we can even smell. the non-physical. And it's that non-physical where we get the information that informs the physical. It's happening all the time anyway. It's happening all the time anyway. We're just not tuned into it. So psychic or psychic development is tuning into that subtle energy or that subtle realm to understand things or aspects that are not yet physical or that are physical, but we just can't grasp it. So for example, there might be an orange in the other room on the table, so it's a physical, but yet I'm not physically aware. I can tune in energetically to the room and I can sense, is there an orange sitting there? So it's tapping in and tuning into the non-physical and the physical through this subtle energy. And so that's psychic in general terms. And then every psychic will use a different sort of modality or a different method. So there's clairvoyance, which I'm clairvoyant. I use my inner vision, so I see the subtle energies, and then I say. There are some people that will feel or hear. Tarot is a way to tap into the subtle energy. So what we're doing is we're using a medium, and we're using the cards to open up and tap into that subtle energy. Mediumship or mediums are have the ability to hear or connect to spirit, which is energy that for the most part had a physical incarnation or a human incarnation, but yet they're not in a physical body, and they're able to tap into and communicate with them. There's multiple ways, but that's just a very quick way to understand the difference between, and so intuition is all of that, but when we use intuition, when the layman person uses intuition, it's very subtle. You usually just, but it comes in from one of the senses. So either someone will just feel like they know. I just know. I don't know how I know, but I know. And that's what we call somebody who's claircognizant. They're using their knowing to receive that extrasensory energy or information. I hear, a lot of people will say, I heard a voice. I know it's not my voice, there's nobody home, I heard a voice. That's someone who is able to hear this subtle energy. So we all have, all these senses actually work for all of us, except one is more, not powerful, but one is more attuned than the other. So for me, it's very much clairvoyance, this is the ability to see, as well as the ability to feel. It's my seeing that is very strong. So there's one that's always outstanding, but we have them all. Similar with our actual basic senses. Some people have a very, very sharp sense of smell or taste. Some people have a very, very sharp eyesight or not. So it's very similar. Everything when we talk about energy and psychic world and work is very similar to what we experience in the physical, only subtle. So that's really the difference. Yeah. So I don't see any questions come in. I do encourage all and any of your questions. So I would like to take you, if there isn't any questions, I would like to take you into a little meditation so that we can feel or sense this subtleness. Now, I get a sense, or I feel that many of you have either been to Illuminations before, have done meditations before. So I know I don't believe this is all new for you, but let's just go into a little meditation to see what we see, or feel what we feel, or sense what we sense. And then I will see if there's any more questions after that. So let's close our eyes. Let's just close our eyes for a moment. And I won't make this too long. It's not going to be an in-depth meditation. It's just for you to sense practically what I'm saying theoretically, okay? So it would be really good if you can have your feet flat on the floor to make that connection to the earth, to the ground beneath you. So if you're on the bed or on the floor, well, if you're sitting on the floor, it's okay if you're cross-legged. Now, wherever you are in this moment, just allow yourself to be. Feel your body. You may put your hands, your palms facing down on your legs. And just feel your body. Feel this energy, this dense energy on the floor or on the chair, on the bed. Feel the contact that you have with the floor or the chair or the bed. Feel how your body touches the surface. Feel the air and feel the space around you. And just allow yourself to be in this moment. In this moment. Go inside within yourself. Where is your energy right now within you? It may be in your legs, in your stomach. Go in. As if you're turning your eyes inward and you're looking or you're sensing. Where is your energy sitting within you in this moment? Get a sense of this energy within you. You are energy. Everything is energy. Just get a sense of where your energy is inside. And now bring your attention and focus outside of your body. And tune in or feel this little bubble of energy around you. So there's energy of the room and in the room, but there's also energy around you that is different than the energy of the room. You may feel different, you may sense it different. Get an impression where your energy bubble is sitting in the room. Is it taking up the whole room? Is it very close to your body? Just feel your energy. This is your energy within, out, on the exterior, on the interior. This is your energy. And now you want to bring all this energy into the third eye, which is the area between your eyebrows. In the center of your head, between your eyebrows. Feel as though there's a magnet sitting in the center of your head between your eyebrows. And this magnet is calling up all of your energy. You're taking all of your attention and focus into this place. Between your eyebrows, in the center of your head, allow all of your energy to pool there now. You are in charge here. This is your body. This is your life. This is your energy. You decide where and how to use your energy. And you can direct your energy. So right now, you are allowing yourself to direct your energy into your third eye area, between your eyebrows and the center of your head. Feel it all rise up. And for a moment, just feel what it feels like to have all your energy in the center of your head behind your eyebrows. And in this moment, in front of you, about a foot in front of you, you are going to see a very blank white screen, as if it's a movie screen. And in this moment, on this movie screen is going to flash a word or two words or an image. And the moment that you flash or see the word or image, ask, what does this mean? And you continue asking the word until you understand what it means. Let it move. Let it do whatever it wants to do as long as it's on the screen. And you're just watching. You are just watching. You're not doing anything but watching. And now you can imagine that the screen dissolves. It just dissolves into air. It goes away. And once again, bringing all of your energy up between your eyebrows and the center of your head. Feel all your energy moving up to this place. As if your third eye, the area between your eyebrows, is a big flashlight. Drop that screen down again, or see that movie screen, that white movie screen in front of you. Open your flashlight, ask a question. Now let's ask some basic questions here. It's just a very quick exercise. Ask a very basic question. Open the flashlight and let the word or image appear. And now just imagine or see everything disintegrating. The questions, the words, the images, screens. Feel all of your energy back in yourself. Bring your attention and focus back into yourself, into the center of your head. And now just imagine that you're running a rain shower of energy over you, through you. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move the energy. It was very much now in the center of the head, and now we just want to move it. Like we're redistributing all the energy. And you're just imagining a little rain shower of energy above your head. And this energy just moves right through you, out of your feet and into the ground. And you can feel a couple of movements or falls. 1, 2, 3. Just feel it continue moving through you. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and come back into this moment. So this is your, perhaps, I don't know who's on the call and who's here exactly, but this perhaps maybe, except of course Latifa, you've been in the classes and courses and you are a reader, but this may be your first psychic reading. It is that simple. Of course, there are many more tools and things to understand to make it even more effortless, but it really is that simple. The information comes and it goes. It doesn't stay. So I moved you quite quickly through that process. And whatever appeared on that screen the first time, whether it's a word or a flash or an image, means something for you in your life at the moment. Now what, I don't know, maybe you don't know, but it does mean something. And so that's why we ask the magical question, what does it mean? Whenever we are working with intuition or the subtle energies, we do not make any assumptions of anything. Even if our mind says blue means healing, when we do this work, when we do the intuitive and the psychic work, blue can mean anything. And so really when we come to this work, we sort of empty all of the knowledge that we had studied or all teachers previous told us or all the modalities told us. It means nothing, only what it means in the energy of what we're looking at. So we come with a clear mind. So this is really moving beyond the mind. So I like to call psychic work or using or developing your intuition or clairvoyance the ultimate meditation, because we really, really move and go out of our mind. We do not use our mind for this. The images that appeared in a flash on that screen meant something to you right now. Again, you may not have been able to get what it meant, but the moment you keep asking, what does it mean? What does it mean? It starts to shift and change. This is the work. In a nutshell, this is how we start to develop our intuition, by asking questions, by taking time out, by feeling ourselves in this moment. So I started off by just feel yourself right now, where you are in this moment, be there. In this chair, feel your body, feel the contact, be there. And then we felt the energy around us. And again, this is very, very quick. We do this work over time, but we felt the energy around us, in us. Start to tune into the energy, where remember that energy follows intention. So if I have the intention to see my energy, I will. If I have the intention to move my energy, I will. Energy follows intention. So I guided you to intend to see and feel your energy outside of you, inside of you. What's happening outside and inside? This is the subtle work. When we start to do this work and we start to understand our energy on a deeper level, we take this out into our life. We take this out into the office, into our relationships, into our outside life. And we start applying these practices to start to understand what's happening to us in every single moment. What's happening to our energy. Wow, I just had that conversation with this person and I feel drained. Well, you're not crazy, you're not sick. You don't have to go to the doctor. You feel drained. Something happened energetically. Now, when you understand energy more, you'll understand that likely you either gave your energy to that person sort of, I don't want to say took your energy, but there was an opening somewhere, an energetic opening for that person to sort of drink or absorb all of your energy. Now, many of you have heard these very basic examples, but it can get a little bit more complex. For example, you're moving into a room, you're walking down the street, you're going to the office, you feel great, you feel fine, and all of a sudden you start to feel down or sad or feeling like these depressed feelings out of nowhere. Likely it's not your energy. And your energy is picking up others' energy. So when we do this work, we need to really understand what's happening to our energy. And we need to start to clear our energy and move our energy into our third eye, which is beyond the mind and the emotions, which has the ability to see clearly. We want to move and get into practice of moving our energy upward. This is where we want to have our energy when we tune in intuitively or when we tune in psychically. So I had you guys move all your energy up here. Some of you may have felt all the energy moving. Some of you may have felt pressure. Some of you may have felt tingling or nothing at all. But the intention is there, and so be it. And then we just simply have, so I actually took you through a clairvoyant process, as I am clairvoyant, so I do this work this way. What appears on the screen in a moment? So if it was a rabbit jumping, it's a rabbit jumping. When we see, we ask, what does it mean? And we allow the story to unfold. So what we're doing is we're seeing energy, we're reading energy. We're reading energy, or we're feeling energy, or we're hearing energy. Everything is energy. And then when we start to see it, so when I saw the bunny or the rabbit moving, for example, I saw energy. Therefore, energy has to shift and change. Anytime energy is witnessed, energy shifts and changes. And therefore, there's a healing. So, yeah, any questions? Any questions? So I have a question here. I have tried a lot of time to understand in meditation, but my mind keeps thinking various things. So to that question, so the question is, I have tried many times to understand and meditate, but my mind keeps thinking on various things. How do I concentrate? So to that question, I say, don't concentrate. Don't do anything at all. Meditation is not about doing. And I understand, and I know there are many schools of meditation that teach us to concentrate on the eye, or the breath, or mantras, and that's all fine. But I say, do not concentrate on anything. If your mind is thinking, allow it to think. Your mind is designed to think. Your mind will never stop thinking. Your heart is designed to beat. Your heart will never stop beating. You just really want to start to watch. Right, like the example I just did was, there's a screen in front of you, there's something on the screen, watch it. You're not with the rabbit jumping, you're watching the rabbit jump. There's a big, big difference between being in the screen with the rabbit jumping and you're feeling the rabbit jumping. And again, it is a very basic example. It can be our partners or our bosses on the screen, or whatever the case in a more complex, but you jump on the screen and you're in there with the rabbit and you're jumping, and imagine the rabbit now is getting chased by some animal, and you start to feel that emotion of the rabbit. You are in the picture, you're in your thoughts, you're in emotions. There's a difference between that experience and you sitting back as if you're watching a movie, as if you're eating popcorn literally, and you're the observer, you're the watcher. Wow, there's a rabbit jumping around and it's being chased. There's a big, big difference. And so whenever the thoughts come, allow them to come. Put a screen up and just see the thoughts come up, the images, and keep on doing that. And after a while, you will start to see and feel a subtle, or not even a subtle, but you'll start to feel and see a change, a shift. You may get quieter, you may be able to quote unquote concentrate better or focus better, you may react less. There's a lot of shifts and changes that come when we sit in this so-called meditation practice. But I say, sit and become an observer. So that's sort of my answer to that question about how you concentrate. I really say don't. Just keep on sitting in meditation and just keep on seeing what happens. And as much as you can even sit back. The very movement of you sitting back is like you're watching. So see how that goes. I suggest just doing it every single day. And over time, even if you feel like you're not watching at first and you're getting involved, it's okay. It's completely okay. Over time, the more you do this, the more you'll start to detach from what it is you're seeing and become more of the watcher. So yeah. Any other questions? So I can, I can talk a lot about this. There's always a lot to talk about. Latifa, you're here. I'm sure you have heard me talk about this a lot. And maybe I've said different things in different ways, but I'm sure you've heard this. But there's always things we can talk about in different ways. Never enough. Yeah, it is. It's always nice to have reminders. Always nice to have reminders and keep us coming back to this place. So yeah, if there are any other questions, please let me know. I just do want to mention briefly about the training because somebody did ask me here about this course. So I do what's called clairvoyant training, and this is a course where I don't like to say teach, I like to say share with you and guide you into using all these tools so that you can, number one, understand so there's a whole bunch of stuff that comes through the course. Number one, you start to understand your energy better. You start to understand other people's energies better. You start to understand how to regulate your energy, how to work with your own energy. you start to, yes, start to trust yourself more. In the whole process of doing this, you start to get to know yourself more on an energy level. When you start to know yourself more on an energy level, you start to understand yourself better. Oh yeah, I reacted like that. I reacted like this. And you start to learn how to tap into that subtle energy to see for yourself. If you have questions, you bring them into your own meditation space and ask those questions. Similar to what we just did on a screen, you start to do that more and more. You start to practice that. You start to give readings for yourself. And of course, the golden nugget of all of this is that you start to give readings for other people. And I always like to tell people that when we give readings for other people, it's in that process that we really start to develop our intuition, because separated. I don't want to say separated from ourselves, but we are not in our mind. We are completely focused on the other person. We're watching and seeing energy. We're learning. We're really learning. When we give readings, this is really the real learning of what energy really is. We can sit and read books and learn how to meditate and feel our energy all we want. But I truly, deeply believe is when we start to see energy for others is really when we start to understand what energy is all about, and what life is actually all about, and what issues are all about, and what emotions are all about. We start to really learn a depth of this human that we are, these emotions, this energy. So when we read for others, this is the process that happens for us. When we read for others, our energy is shifting and changing, hence we're receiving healing. When we read for others, we are not only giving them insight and guidance, but we're witnessing their process, their energy, hence their energy shifts and changes, hence they receive a healing. So for me, this work is highly and deeply healing, more so than it's sitting down with someone and telling them, oh, tomorrow or next year, you're gonna meet this person and have this. It's not predictive work, it's healing work. It's deep healing work, because we're really working in the subtle realm in the energy world, in the energy level. And yes, we all are always tapping into people's potential. So we have great, immense potential, but most of us live this life not really stepping fully into that potential. And when we start to be able to witness or see other people's potentials, it reflects and mirrors back on our own potential. And it ignites something within us that sort of lights us up and helps us step more and more and more and more into our own full potential. So I may be sort of a little bit, not all over the place, but saying a lot of things, because it is a lot. There is a lot that happens when we do intuitive readings, energy readings, psychic readings, clairvoyant readings, whatever you want to call them. There's a lot of healing that happens. There's a lot of shift and change that can happen for our own life. This is really actually how I got into this work. I was in the marketing world before, and I was in the whole spiritual work for a long while, doing a lot of different modalities and courses and classes and trainings. But it was until I stepped into committing to learning how to give readings or doing this clairvoyant training. I took the training, and it's when I stepped into that and started to give readings to others is really what led me to step more and more into my own life, into my own potential. Hence, I let go of the marketing work and I stepped fully into this work. And I can say that the reading for people and doing this is really something that was a catalyst for that change in my life. So I love the work. And of course, it's natural. Again, it just goes back to it is who we are. And so why would we not want to understand who we are more, so that it can help us in our, not only when to give a reading to someone, but to help us in our everyday life. The more that we strengthen and develop our intuition in these classes or courses or meditation practices, the more that we take it out there into our life. And of course, the more that we walk our life connected to ourselves and our own intuition, the more that we can shift and change our life, and the more that we can manifest, infamous word, manifest, the more that we can manifest what it is we truly desire. So, I believe we're coming to the end, and Again, I can speak more and more and over, but I do invite you, if you like to take the course, it is coming up 2 weekends in October. I believe it's the last weekend and the third weekend of October. The 16 and 17 and the 30, 31st. It's the third weekend and the last weekend of October. It's a 4-day course. And you get all the tools, all the basic tools, all the foundations. You'll leave the course learning how to give readings to others. You'll be able to give readings to anyone after the course. Again, that's the golden nugget, but that's not all of it. It's so much more than that. If you want to talk more about it, you can always come in to see me, or you can hop on a call. We can have a little chat. If there's any questions, you can always send those through as well. Just contact the center and let them know that you have a question. Again, I can't see any of you, very different than in person, but I believe you're all there somewhere. And I thank you so much for hopping on. Latifa, you surprised me. You are a senior now, not a senior, but an advanced, and you're here. So thank you for hopping on. It's always nice to have your energy. Yes, you are advanced, Latifa. Latifa has taken level 1 and level 2, and she gives readings now. So yeah, but thank you guys for showing up and being here and healing. Somehow, some way, there was a healing that happened this evening. So thank you all. And again, you know where to find me. So I will log off for now. Bye, everyone. Good night. Have a good week. Bye.